The trap is set. The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber was a testament to the unity of the stars. A vast, circular hall where delegates from hundreds of species gathered to decide the fate of entire civilizations. The air shimmered with holographic projections, alien dialects filtered through universal translators, and the scent of ozone and exotic pheromones filled the space. At the center of it all sat Ambassador Adrian Kane, Earth's representative. A man of medium build with sharp, calculating eyes, Kane appeared every bit the polished diplomat the aliens had come to expect from humanity. Soft-spoken, patient, non-threatening. The perfect target. The Kroth Dominion, a warlike reptilian species, had been growing increasingly aggressive in their territorial claims. They viewed humanity as a nuisance, an upstart race that had clawed its way into the galactic community too quickly. And today, they had decided to send a message. High Chancellor Vorek, a towering Kroth with scales the color of molten bronze, rose from his seat. His voice, rough like grinding stone, echoed through the chamber. Ambassador Kane, we of the Dominion have tolerated your kind long enough. Your species trespasses where it does not belong. You bring weak words when strength is required. Today, we end this farce. Murmurs rippled through the assembly, but no one objected. The Kroth were known for making bold moves, and many had expected something like this. What they didn't expect was Kane's reaction. The ambassador simply sighed and folded his hands. Is that so? Vorek's slit-pupiled eyes narrowed. He gestured, and suddenly, the chamber's great doors slammed shut. A dozen Kroth guards armed with plasma spears stepped forward, surrounding Kane. You are charged with espionage against the Dominion. Your status as a diplomat is revoked. You will be detained, and... The first guard dropped before Vorek finished his sentence. The chamber fell silent as the Kroth warrior collapsed, a deep gash in his throat. No one had seen Kane move. No one had seen the blade he had used, only the blood pooling beneath the body. Kane stood, rolling his shoulders. His posture had changed, no longer the calm, patient negotiator, but something else entirely. Something predatory. You really don't know, do you? He said softly. The Kroth hesitated. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Vorek's face. The second guard lunged. Kane sidestepped, grabbed the alien's outstretched arm, and twisted. There was a sickening snap as the joint gave way, followed by a thud as Kane drove the warrior's head into the polished floor. Panic erupted in the chamber. Delegates scrambled from their seats as Kane moved like a shadow through the chaos. A third guard fired a plasma bolt. It struck empty air as Kane rolled beneath the shot, rising behind him. A swift strike to the base of the skull, and the Kroth crumpled. Stop him! Vorek roared. More guards rushed in, but Kane was already in motion. He moved with terrifying precision. Every strike a calculated, lethal decision. A kick shattered a knee. A knife-hand strike collapsed a windpipe. He was not fighting. He was eliminating. The aliens had expected a diplomat. Instead, they had invited a predator into their den. The few remaining Kroth hesitated, fear creeping into their reptilian eyes. Kane adjusted his cufflinks, his expression calm. I try to do this the easy way, he said. You should have listened. With a flick of his wrist, a small device in his palm pulsed. The chamber lights flickered. A moment later, every exit unlocked. Vorek's eyes widened. How? Kane smiled. You thought you trapped me in here with you. He stepped toward the Chancellor, who involuntarily took a step back. The truth is, you're trapped in here with me. The chamber filled with the sound of Kroth screams. The legend awakens. The screams of the Kroth guards faded, replaced by the eerie silence of the Galactic Council chamber. Bodies lay scattered across the pristine floor, some groaning, others motionless. The remaining delegates, representing dozens of species, sat frozen in shock. Many had never seen violence firsthand. Few had expected it from a human. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Adrian Kane, rolling his shoulders as if shaking off the stiffness of diplomacy. His breathing was steady, his hands relaxed. To him, this had been just another mission. To the aliens watching, he had become something else entirely. Something terrifying. High Chancellor Vorek, leader of the Croth Dominion, was still standing. But the confidence that had once dripped from his every word was gone, replaced by disbelief. His elite warriors lay defeated in mere minutes. And Kane hadn't even broken a sweat. You're no diplomat, Vorak hissed, taking a step back. His reptilian pupils dilated with fear. Kane smirked. He stepped over a fallen guard, wiping his sleeve clean of greenish-black blood. I prefer to think of myself as a problem solver. And you, Chancellor, just created a very big problem. The chamber's security finally reacted. Automated defense turrets dropped from the ceiling, humming to life as they locked onto Kane. A disembodied AI voice echoed across the hall. Ambassador Adrian Kane, stand down or be terminated. Kane barely glanced up. Oh, you should really reconsider that. The moment the turrets began to fire, he was already moving. With inhuman speed, Kane dove behind a central podium, plasma bolts scorching the air where he'd stood a moment before. The nearest turret exploded as he fired a compact EMP charge from his wrist device. Sparks rained down as two more turrets powered down, their circuits fried. By now, panic had truly set in. Delegates scrambled for cover, some shouting into communication devices. The Galactic Council had never seen this side of humanity. Kane emerged from cover, stepping toward the last active turret. In a blur, he leaped, twisting midair. His foot connected with the turret's base, sending it crashing down. Before it could reorient, Kane delivered a precise strike to its power core, silencing it instantly. The silence that followed was deafening. Vorak's claws twitched, but he dared not move. Not now. One of the other council members, a tall, insectoid being from the Threxian collective, spoke, their mandibles clicking in alarm. H-human, what are you? Kane dusted himself off, adjusting his tie as he turned toward the assembly. His gaze swept the room, taking in their fear, their confusion. Then, with a slow, deliberate tone, he answered, I'm a Marine. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The word carried weight, even among the stars. The Croth had underestimated humanity's history of war. Their centuries of conflict, their ability to adapt, their ruthless efficiency. The Galactic Council had assumed Earth status as a peaceful species meant they lacked the will or means for war. They were wrong. One of the delegates, a blue-skinned diplomat from the Tarlic Confederacy, found his voice. The Council has always believed that humanity is civilized, non-violent. Kane laughed, a low, dangerous sound. We are. His expression darkened. Until you push us too far. Vorak finally snapped. This is an act of war, human. He bared his fangs, tried to regain some sense of control. The Dominion will crush your people for this. Kane's eyes locked onto him, and for the first time, Vorak truly understood the term predator. You think this was an act of war? Kane stepped closer, forcing the much larger alien back. No, Chancellor. War is what happens next. Vorak flinched. The Council will not stand for this. Kane smirked, pulling a small device from his pocket. I'm counting on that. He pressed a button. Above them, the holographic screens flickered to life. Live footage from Earth's military command centers filled the chamber. Warships mobilizing, orbital defenses powering up, fleets assembling. The aliens watched in horror as humanity prepared for war. Kane turned to the Council. You wanted to see what happens when you betray a human? Congratulations. He gestured to the screens. You're about to find out. The last thing the aliens heard before the alarms blared was Kane's voice, calm and unwavering. You should have let me handle this diplomatically. The wrath of humanity. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Dozens of species, once confident in their dominance over the fragile, peaceful humans, now cowered in the presence of Ambassador Adrian Kane, who, as it turned out, was far more than a mere diplomat. Above them, the holographic displays continued to stream live footage from Earth's military command centers. Orbital fleets mobilized. Battlecruisers activated defense protocols. Elite strike teams were already deploying from bases across the Sol system. Humanity wasn't hesitating. For the first time, the Galactic Council saw the truth. The humans had always been ready for war. Vorak, High Chancellor of the Croth Dominion, snarled in frustration. His claws flexed, his reptilian pupils narrowing as he turned toward Kane. "This is madness," he spat. "The Dominion has thousands of warships. We are the dominant force in the galaxy. You cannot possibly think your primitive world stands a chance." Kane didn't flinch. Instead, he calmly reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek black data chip. He held it up for the room to see. "This," he said evenly, "contains everything you never bothered to learn about us." With a flick of his wrist, Kane tossed the chip toward the central console. The holographic projectors adjusted instantly, filling the chamber with a new display. Historical footage from Earth played before the stunned aliens. Centuries of warfare, spanning every era of human history. The Council watched in horror as the burning cities of World War II flashed across the screen. They saw the cold, calculated destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Then came the relentless brutality of the Vietnam War, the global scale of the world wars, the precision of modern warfare, and finally, classified military footage from the last century, battles in space, cyber warfare, orbital bombardments. Each scene showed something far worse than they had imagined. Humans didn't just fight wars. They engineered them. Vorek's confidence faltered as he took a step back. His scales, normally a deep obsidian, had paled into a dull gray, a reaction of genuine fear in Croth physiology. "This," one of the insectoid Threxian delegates stammered. "This is your history?" Kane nodded. "And you think we are the ones to be feared?" The Threxian's mandibles twitched anxiously. "Your people, your species, are monsters." Kane shrugged. "We prefer the term survivors. A representative from the Tarlic Confederacy, a species known for its vast technological empire," furrowed his brow. "Then why did you not declare yourselves a war species?" "Because we aren't," Kane said simply. "War isn't our first choice. But when it becomes necessary," he gestured toward the screen, where a human soldier in advanced power armor was leading a charge through a ruined battlefield. "We make damn sure we're the last ones standing." Silence. Cold. Heavy. Oppressive. Then, a sharp beep interrupted the stillness. One of the delegates, a nervous-looking amphibian, checked a hollow display. His skin paled further. We just received word from our border stations." His voice trembled. "Human fleets are advancing." Another beep. "Outer colonies are falling back from the Sol system." A third. "The Dominion forces along the neutral zone are reporting casualties. They say the humans haven't even fired first. They're just waiting." Vorek froze. Waiting? His mind raced. The tactical brilliance of it became horrifyingly clear. Humanity was letting the Dominion make the first move, letting them become the aggressors in the eyes of the galaxy. And when they did, the full might of Earth's military would annihilate them. "You son of a..." Vorek lunged forward, claws bared. Kane was faster. In a single, fluid motion, the Marine-turned-diplomat sidestepped, grabbed Vorek's arm, and twisted. A sickening crack echoed through the chamber as the High Chancellor collapsed to his knees, hissing in pain. Kane leaned in close, his voice barely above a whisper. "This was your choice," he murmured. "You thought we were weak. You thought we were harmless." Vorek's eyes widened in horror. "You were wrong." Kane released him, stepping back. He looked toward the Council, toward the countless species that had once dismissed humanity as an insignificant pacifist race. Not anymore. A final beep. A priority message from Earth's Fleet Command. Kane smiled. "Your move. The consequences of underestimation." A cold silence settled over the Galactic Council chamber. The weight of humanity's revealed history, its capacity for war, and its unyielding resolve hung over the delegates like a storm cloud ready to burst. Ambassador Adrian Kane stood at the center, his posture relaxed, but his gaze sharp, watching, waiting. The galaxy had scoffed at the idea of human warfare. Now, they understood their mistake. A final transmission from Earth's Fleet Command hovered in the center of the chamber, its message simple and terrifying. "We will not start this war, but if you force our hand, we will end it." The galaxy's reaction. Chancellor Vorek of the Croth Dominion, still reeling from Kane's swift and brutal response, clutched his broken arm. His breathing was ragged, his pride shattered. He looked around the chamber, desperate for support, but found only uncertainty in the eyes of his fellow delegates. One of the insectoid Phyrexians, whose exoskeleton had darkened with anxiety, clicked its mandibles. If war begins, it will not be contained to a single system. It will burn across the stars. Another delegate, a reptilian from the Tarla Confederacy, exhaled sharply. Humanity has shown restraint despite our provocation. We must reconsider our approach. Kane's expression didn't change. He merely watched, observed. This was the moment of decision. The standoff. A tense stillness settled over the room. Each species knew that their next move would determine the course of history. Then, a new message flashed on the holographic display. Dominion War Fleet Delta 9 has entered human space. Weapons armed. No response to hails. Vorek's eyes widened. That wasn't his order. The room erupted into chaos. The realization hit all at once. One of the Dominion's fleet commanders had made the worst possible decision at the worst possible time. Kane tapped a small earpiece and spoke a single sentence. Confirms status of hostile vessels. A moment later, the response came in. Dominion fleet has been neutralized. Dead silence. Kane sighed and turned back to the assembly. His voice was calm, almost bored. For clarification, when we say neutralized, we don't mean damaged or disabled. We mean their fleet no longer exists. Vorek staggered. What do you mean gone? Kane tilted his head. Exactly that. No wreckage. No distress beacons. No escape pods. He folded his arms. They were given a warning. They refused to listen. The chamber erupted in alarmed whispers. The destruction of an entire war fleet, one that had likely been considered unstoppable, had just been wiped from existence. And humanity hadn't even left its own system. The final warning. Kane leaned forward, placing his hands on the central console. Now, let me be clear. If the Dominion, or anyone else, wants to push this further, we're more than happy to educate you on what true war looks like. His tone hardened. But if you value your civilizations, your planets, your very existence, you'll stand down. A tremor of fear rippled through the room. Kane took a step back, adjusting his cuffs. We never wanted war. But that doesn't mean we aren't damn good at it. He turned, making his way toward the exit. Just before reaching the doors, he paused. Oh, and one more thing. Kane looked over his shoulder, locking eyes with Vorek. Never mistake humanity's kindness for weakness again. The doors hissed open, and with that, Kane was gone. The Galactic Council sat in stunned silence. The message had been delivered, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again.